About that. I'm sorry about that. Thank you for tuning into the Lethal Truth, where the truth has set you free by any means necessary. And I'm talking about mentally and physically, depending on your situation. You could be up north or on Rikers Island. I might say something in a legal aspect that can help you get home. I could say something for us business wise to help you out, because my channel is universal. I don't just bottle myself up in one particular category. That, some people got a cooking channel, some people got political channels. I got it all. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm universal. I can't just bottle myself down on one category. But definitely got a good one for y'all. Definitely, I believe it's day 12 or no, day 11, excuse me, on the Diddy trial. Man, this thing is like, yo, it's heating up. It's heating up. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as soon as you come in. Hit that like button, that subscribe button as soon as you come in. Hit that share button. Like I was saying, this case is heating up. It's a lot with this case. For those of you who's now tuning in to me that haven't been picking up on my content, when I talk about this case, I'm getting it from someone that's actually in the courthouse. You know what I'm saying? So they actually could, scribble down as much as the minutes that they can. I like to share the prosecution team testimony and the defense team testimony. I don't try to be biased because I want people out there to have both sides so they can make their own decision. Because what I see on the media and on social media, especially people with the content creators, they like to talk about only what the prosecution is doing. And then they'll come up there to oh, Diddy's in trouble. Let me tell you, because they haven't heard the defense. They haven't heard the defense direct cross-examination yet. So they come right here, up here on their channels and talk about, let me tell you, Diddy is going down. Diddy's going down. I don't do that. That's why sometimes it may take me a day or two, because I want to get both sides. Because you could get hyped and say Diddy's going down, but once you hear the defense, you go, oh man, what happened? And so far, if you've been following me on my content, you already know. Diddy lawyers been smoking though. His lawyers is crazy. Let me tell you something. I had to do more research with these dudes. These cats ain't playing. Brian Steele, Alex Shapiro. Yo, these dudes is heavyweight. They are the top heavyweights for us as a defense team or as a defense lawyer. For entertainment and crime and criminal. One of them got Young Thug off his RICO case. Like, these dudes is not playing. And Puffy has 10 lawyers. He has 10 lawyers. Who the hell has 10 lawyers? And they saying that it's estimated that he's spending at least $10 million on lawyers. That's how you get your money out. That's when it's time to go to war, when you got your money. You don't go to war and start causing havoc and you broke. Then when you get locked up, you got a legal aid lawyer. Puff, he ain't perfect, but he made sure he solidified himself for whatever come, because, man, his money is up and his legal team, they call him the dream team. Everybody that comes up on that stand gets smoked. I'm going to say that again. Everybody that came up there to testify against Puffy or testify for the prosecution team got smoked. Even down to the forensic science psychologist got smoked. I said, God damn, these lawyers ain't playing. They not playing. One of the witnesses went and met with the prosecution team 9 minutes before the trial began, and they knew about it. I said, how the hell they know? Got money, they got connections. But this is going to be a little lengthy. So I'm going to make a part two. Because it's heavy. This is real heavy, So we're going to get right into it. We're not going to waste no time. But before I begin with the cross-examination and the direct examination, because now we're going to talk about Capricorn Clark, who's his assistant. And then we're going to go into Mia. We all been hearing about this Mia, right? We're going to get into her. But, as I studied this case more, and it's crazy because with the help of the Nation of Islam for teaching me, When you're in that nation or you're involved in that nation, you're able to see things that other people cannot see. We call this mentally dead. Not saying you ignorant or anything like that because you're not a part of the nation or study under the nation or stuff like that. But I'm just saying they open your eyes to the point where you always see the technology. Now, this is why I say this. I think this is bigger than Cassie. I think the prosecution team don't give a damn about Cassie. They don't care. This is bigger than Cassie. I'll break it down to you. Diddy sued Diego because they didn't put the agave that was down in Mexico to make his liquor De Leon. He didn't want to deal with Ciroc no more because they was using him as a front boy and he had little stocks in it. But he wanted his own. So he had got his own. So they hinder him as they do with black people because they never want to see us successful and do things independent unless they have a chokehold around us so they can eat, right? He sued them and they settled out $1 billion. Diego is one of the top 5 most powerful liquor distribution companies in the world. They supply 180 countries of alcohol. That's a lot of countries. They have a strong political hold on politicians, federal government agencies, because they donate to campaigns that people run to become senators, mayors. You know, they fund people to manipulate the law so they can always make money. This is what the rich do. So they settled out $1 billion. It rubbed them the wrong way. They had to give an N-word, $1 billion. Yeah, I'm trying to dampen down on the profanity and use of certain languages because what happens is they'll strike your channel. If you use too much profanity, they'll strike your channel. Hold on a second. Yeah. So, where was I? Yeah. So they strike your channel. So, you know, they was upset. They was upset. And people like that, they come after you. You know what I'm saying? They really come after you. So right after that, around that time, Diddy was in the process of suing. Diddy had a talk. He was on a talk show. I forgot the name of the show. And he was talking about making a black political party. He wasn't talking about the Black Caucus. Those are the gatekeepers. Those are the boulets who tried to be the house Negroes for the former slave masters so they could keep us in line. See what I'm saying? He didn't like that because after he got so big and so powerful, Puffy realized that, yo, man, his conversation is changing because the money is changing. And when you get money like that, you start getting into politics. And he realized, because he saw the truth. He's like, yo, man, we don't even see what's going on. We're not even part of the conversation. We're not about nothing. All they want is our vote. So what he said was, I'm not dealing with all these black political parties. I'm making my own political party. And he was like with a few other millionaires and billionaires that he associates with. So we're talking about people from the hood, people that know what we need. They were going to be the voices for us. This was a major threat. This was a major threat because now you're trying to gain black power, real black power. Not that stuff we just shout out as a slogan that sound cool. I'm talking about real political black power from people that's coming from the hood with millions. Our former slave masters don't like that. You got to stay in line. We made you rich. What you doing? So next thing you know, a couple of months after that, Cassie sued Diddy. And you know, I wanted to read the lawsuit, but the charges she's using, because everything is, you know, how would I say? He can't get arrested for domestic violence and everything because the statute of limitations ran out. But if you say that you were sexually assaulted, then you can file. You can't file under abuse. But if you say sex trafficking and sexual exploitation, it supersedes the statute of limitation and you can put in a lawsuit. So she went after that. Somebody had to tell her to use that land. Cassie's not that bright. And it's no disrespect. Just by the trial and the things she dealt with, you could tell she's not that bright. Somebody put something in her ear to tell her, yo, you can still sue and get money. Put all that out and watch what happened. And what happened? We was all like, what? In 24 hours? He hiding something. It was the cat was out the bag now. See, now somebody was after his reputation. The propaganda machine started. So now, a few months after that, the tape leaked. The tape that allegedly, I'm assuming somebody paid the hotel to get rid of the tape, but they still had the tape. And then they leaked it to CNN. I said to myself, why CNN? Why not these little networks that we normally see? Because hotel people that work there, they don't have that type of connection, some of them, or majority of them. Somebody had a connection to send it to a political channel called CNN, a global news network that is a multinational network throughout America, which means this network touches every house in America. So automatically within minutes, it went viral. Assassinate his character. That's the first things that the federal government does. Somebody's after him. This ain't about no Cassie, man. If you look at all the things on the transcripts and everything, it's garbage. Look at all my concepts. We're gonna get into me and Capricorn Clark in a minute. Oh my God, gonna blow your mind. It's gonna blow your mind. So I said, all right, they're coming after Diddy. They arrested him to Rico. I said, like I said, normally when you hear Rico, you hear mafia, you hear this, you hear that, right? Organized crime. But you can also be charged individually with a RICO, which is very rare because you would have to start a business that's covering up your crime. Meaning it could be a record label where all your staff is people from the streets, or they do your bidding illegally, or by all means. And I'm talking about everybody on the staff. It's just a front. But Puffy ain't got no front. So they started speculating now, right? I don't know where it came from. A lot of content creators that's down there, they hear certain things in the courtroom where the prosecutors is alleging that if Puffy's found guilty, that they're going to seize all his assets from 2008 until now. Whatever he made from 2008 and now, they take it. All them billions, all that millions is gone. All Bad Boy, well, not Bad Boy could stay, but anything that he had as he started after 2008, or excuse me, at 2008, they will seize. That's what they after. They after his empire. They after those billions and millions. They ain't after no Cassie. Let me tell you, let me show you something. Primary charges. He got RICO conspiracy, right? Combs is accused of leading a criminal enterprise. We know Puff to be leading criminal enterprises. So far, have we heard anything about anybody doing anything illegal for us, an enterprise? But this is what they're coming for. They want him to be found guilty so they could take everything. For all that, you could have just said, yo, we just want to get him for this and that. But no, they want the RICO. They want to take everything from this powerful black man because he's trying to get a political party. Even if after this, it's all of, let's say he beat it. His image is so destroyed. Nobody ain't going to touch him. Nobody ain't going to touch him. They will have to do business underhand without anybody knowing because of the propaganda machine has started. Because every witness that come up there, all they talk about is the beating of Cassie. I ain't hear nobody being shipped, smuggled yet for sex. All you hearing is free course Cassie. Every witness, Cassie. When you gonna get to the meat of it? Because they want to deter our minds with the propaganda that all he do is beat up women. Look at the social media. Women right now is cheering for Cassie. Oh, she had a baby. Breaking news. Why is that breaking news? Let me ask you something. If this wasn't on the news, if Puffy didn't get arrested, would you up there be talking about breaking news? Congratulations, Cassie. No, you wouldn't. Stop fronting. But look. So Combs is accused of leading a criminal enterprise from at least 2008 to the present. This enterprise allegedly facilitated his abuse and exploitations of women and others, aiming to protect his reputation and conceal his conduct. The indictment details that Combs, along with associates, engaged in crimes such as sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Things that the cartel does. This, see, when you hear the associates, this is why, look at the manipulation. This is why they went and got all the employees that work for him and gave them immunity. Because they ain't had nothing. Listen, we know you was buying drugs. They don't know the law. Yo, listen, you know you was buying drugs, Puffy, and you was doing this and doing that. We got it. And there's a lot of things you don't know we have that we not going to tell you. They scared like they mind. They like, the feds? Oh, my God. When the feds come, they come. I'm snitching immediately. They not street. They not from the street. So they running their mouth off a million miles an hour. So all you got is this assistance, security team. This is who they making as this associates in a criminal enterprise. See, they trying to tie that in. But these are employees that get a check and pay taxes. They get tax returns. What are you talking about? But this is what they're trying to do, right? All right. Sex trafficking by force. Prosecutors allege that Combs coerced women. So far, we only heard Cassie. Women into sexual acts through threats, violence, and manipulation. Witnesses have testified about being forced into sex-fueled events. You ain't heard any witnesses yet testify that they went to sex-fueled events? All we hearing is Cassie calling up the escorts and paying them to have sex in a hotel room, which they call the freak off. No sexual events. As a matter of fact, word, not even word on the street, I got the direct information. You ain't gonna hear about no drugs and baby oil, because it ain't none. They don't have that. They ain't coming with that. You don't hear about no celebrities on no tapes. They don't have no tapes with celebrities on it. Stop running with the propaganda with these fake Jay-Z posters. Oh, Jay-Z just opened the door with Beyonce on a free course with Diddy. Stop it, man. Just to get some meta views. Meta payouts. So people could run with it and then comment, because most of us ain't even paying attention to what's going on. So we just run with whatever we hear and we think it's true until it involves us. Referred to as freak offs and subjected to physical abuse. That's what we really hear. Transportation for purposes of prostitution. Combs is charged with transporting individuals across state lines. We haven't heard that yet. Every state he went to, the escort was in that state. The only one that was going there across state, the freak off one, was Cassie, and she did it consensual. She admitted it. She called them and paid them. See how this is all cancer? This don't make no sense. Combs is charged with transporting individuals across state lines to engage in prostitution, furthering the alleged criminal activities. Hold on a second. Now, the pattern of racketeering, right? Because I need y'all to understand what he's charged with. Because they ain't really telling y'all. They just say RICO, sex trafficking, and you forget about it. And they don't really get into that. The pattern of racketeering activity. There must be a pattern, meaning at least 2 related crimes within a 10-year span. These include human trafficking. We haven't heard that, right? Puffy ain't trafficking no humans for sex slaves. None of that, right? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. Human trafficking, we have not heard of that yet. All right. Drug trafficking. He ain't moving no kilos. We ain't hear that yet. What we hearing is him buying drugs from one stop to get high. That's what celebrities do. They go get the weed man or the coke man or the dope man or the ecstasy man, and they come to they drive over to where he at. and Diddy ain't gonna be in there getting caught buying no drugs. He got assistants. You go do that. I'm Diddy. Diddy keeps his hands clean, baby. When you got that much money, you ain't got to get wrapped up in buying drugs. You know what I'm saying? You send somebody to do that. And then they bring the drugs to you and you get high. So we ain't hear about no drug trafficking. Money laundering. Well, you can forget about that. He don't even need to do no money laundering. Am I correct? But we did hear, and what they're trying to insinuate is that when Puff go out of town or wherever he go, he always have, you know, like $10,000 on him. Or one time they say he had $150,000 in the duffel bag and he went to Russia. And they say, hey, that's money laundering. How? Who says? What proof? Because he went across. You don't know what he was going to do. Probably was going to give it to a person that he's cool with, a business. He probably was just donating. You don't know what he was doing with it. You can't come up with that. Stop it. You know what I'm saying? Wire fraud. You know, we ain't hearing nothing about that. Kidnapping. Capricorn Clark says she was kidnapped. Not once, but twice. Well, we're going to get into that in a minute. Hold your horses. Buckle up. Sexual exploitation. Now, we definitely been hearing about that. Sex. That's what we be hearing at. SEX. Exploitation. But really, everything was consensual. We've been hearing so far. I know some of y'all out there saying, oh, no, he was drugging people and they was going to sleep and they was waiting. Really? We're going to get into that in a minute. All right. If one person orchestrates or commits these repeatedly as part of an ongoing scheme, it may qualify, of course, in a RICO. You will definitely get locked up. So now the enterprise part, the business part, right? Because we know he got Bad Boy, Blue Flame. He had the Revolt thing going on. He had a whole lot of stuff going on. Like this man, yo, to be honest, I have to keep it real. I don't know how he had found the time to do all these free calls. This dude was busy, man, right? Definition of enterprise. According to the Department of Justice, Combs allegedly used his music label, business, employees, bodyguards, associates, and celebrity statues to form and lead or organized network. So now they're trying to say he hired all these people to start doing some organized crime. Like I said, all we heard about is free calls. I ain't hear nothing else for RICO. I'm just saying. Facilitating sex trafficking and sexual exploitation. 2, engaged in a violent intimidation, drugging, and coercion of victims. This is where they're getting him on, right? Protected Combs' reputation by covering up crimes, right? So far, the only kind of crime we actually heard somebody testified on was Kid Cudi his car. We're going to get into that too. Covering up crimes, including threats and bribery. Enforce loyalty through surveillance, blackmail, and retaliation. So he was forcing people to be loyal to him. This is their charges, right? This is what they charging him with. The alleged enterprise, the law requires that the existence of an enterprise, which can be a group of people, a business, a record label, or even an informal network. This doesn't need to be mafia style. I said, oh shit, okay, excuse me. I said, oh, okay, my bad. It doesn't have to be mafia style. A mafia style organization. It could be a person using others to carry out illegal acts. Knowingly or unknowingly. We haven't heard nobody carrying out his deeds to do illegal acts. Everybody keeps saying Puffy, 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 Puffy. The most we hear about his security is that they had guns, and when Puffy said, let's go, they went with him. They security, that's what they're supposed to do. They're licensed to have guns. Ain't that right, Gene Deal? He's licensed to have a gun. Boss lady, what's up? What's up? Hit that like button, y'all. Hit that like button. Okay, so I'm off that. I won't break down. 3, the leadership or control. Well, not 3, leadership or control. The person doesn't have to personally commit all the crimes. If they direct, fund, benefit from, or conspire to further the enterprise criminal goals. So Bad Boy and all that has a criminal goal. This is what they're trying to. Oh man, they can be charged under the RICO. This makes it possible for a high profile or a powerful person to face RICO charges if prosecution can show they were an architect or ringleader. Right? All right. So this is what they're trying to do because they want to get his business. They want to get all his money and then put him in jail. Not even for life. But you might just say life because Puffy's 56 years old. And if they give him 20 years to 30 years, like when you coming home? You know what I'm saying? So he pretty much gonna die in there, but I don't think so because when you get caught lying on the stand, it's called perjury. You don't get it dismissed right then and there. The jury hears and they make their decision. But you have strong grounds for appeal because if you lie on perjury, that's an automatically appeal. And Dawn Rashad done lied 13 times. Cassie lied 5 times. Capricorn called, oh man, here for the knobs, what's up? Oh man, they just, let's get right into it, right? So we're going to talk about Capricorn Clark. First, we already know Cassie said she consented to the free calls. When she first met Diddy, she said, I want you to groom me into the woman you want me to be. He said, okay. See, that exited out all of y'all talking about, oh, he manipulated her to do this. She said, she said, groom me, which means train me into the woman you want me to be. She didn't say that I want to be. She said, you want me to be. And he did exactly that. So the freak offs came. And she said she was looking forward to it in many texts. She even talked about how she said, I can't wait till you fly back so we could do the freak offs. I'm going to go get the candle wax. Yeah, she went to go get the candle wax and the baby oil and everything. And she said she was going to decorate the hotel room. This is what she said. This is consent, freak offs. Then she said afterwards, after the abuse got so terrible, she didn't even want to tell him no more when she didn't want to do any freak offs. So she just went along with it because 1, she didn't want another woman to do it, which would cancel her out and she'd be back to square one. And 2, she said she just did it because she didn't want to make him mad. So it's no force, there's no gun to her head, none of that. She did it willingly, right? Kid Cudi admits to having an affair or sleeping with Cassie behind Diddy back. Cassie told him we was off again, on again, and here and all of that. And at that particular time, he believed that they need to lock her up. Yeah, they need to lock her up. She said that Kid Cudi said that they were on again, off again, and at that time that they wasn't together. He said that he got a call from Capricorn Clark and Cassie as well that Diddy found out about them and he was coming to kill Kid Cudi. Allegedly, Diddy got to the house with other people and broke into the place, ransacked the place, opened up gifts and everything. When he got there, Diddy wasn't there. The cameras that faces his house, all around his house, was turned so you can't see nobody. You're a multimillionaire with a 911 porch, 2 porches at that. And you're trying to tell me that the camera didn't catch nobody? This is what he said on his stand. So Diddy is not shown to be at his premises. Diddy fingerprints, DNA, nothing connects Diddy to that house but hearsay. When you start blaming people in court for some crime, you got to have evidence. You can't just go up there and just say whatever because who's to say it's true? That's why you got to have evidence. They found a fingerprint, right? The fingerprint on the bottle of the cocktail that they dropped in his 911 through the sunroof. They found it. They got the print. The print came back a female. Diddy's not a female. Maybe it was Cassie, or maybe it was some vindictive female that didn't like, you know how you sisters are, right? I'm gonna just burn your car down. You break the car windows. Some of y'all burn it down. And a 911 Porsche too. Ooh, somebody was bitter. That's women do that. They found a fingerprint, which I just found out yesterday, right? They found the fingerprint on the doorknob. It was a female fingerprint in December of 2011, right? Police came, ADT came, they did the investigation. Then the print card ended up missing because the LAPD person that was on the scene that did the DNA testing, he testified and he said, yeah, it was a female fingerprint. So now the jury is looking like, wait a minute, what? Female? Where did he? Y'all got all of this. Where did he? Guess what happened? The defense asked for the evidence, right? Come to find out the evidence ended up missing January of 2012. Automatically, Diddy's defense, they all jumped up. Mistrial, 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 because you tampered with evidence. This is evidence that could clear my client. Where it go? Now, the prosecution team saying objection, objection, Your Honor, what? The whole courtroom gets crazy because now evidence is missing. Why would Diddy? Because they try to say, and a lot of you content creators that is prosecution team, y'all saying Diddy has something to do with it. I got a little hot in here for a minute. Y'all try to say Diddy has something to do with it. You know, Diddy is a powerful man. You know, Diddy got money. Diddy did this. Diddy took that. Why would Diddy want to remove evidence that can clear him? Think about that. Now, who you think would remove that evidence to benefit them? Could it be the prosecution team? Talk to me now. Now, here's the setup. This is what I say. Yo, man, they coming after him, man. Check this out. Because I know for the past day, I was hearing that Diddy was calling, defense team was calling for a mistrial. Check it out. The judge said, sidebar. Because he was messed up like, what was going on? So they spoke, went back to their resign tables, and the judge got biased. The judge says, I'm not going to call a mistrial. He said, but I was assuming that the testimony or the questions was going to be based on the bottle and the DNA cards, the fingerprint cards, right? He said, but since it's not going to be in question, then we're going to remove that part of the testimony in the court when it comes to the DNA and the bottle. How you going to remove that testimony that clears Puffy? See what I'm saying? Now, don't get me wrong. It still works in Diddy's favor because you don't have him on the scene. Only thing Kid Cudi said, well, actually, Kid Cudi said, yo, he spoke to Puff and Puff told him he was at his house. Yo, come over here. I want to talk to you. And then when he got there, Puff wasn't there. He said he took a minute. He had to think about it because he didn't know what he was walking into. But when he got there, the fire department was there. Listen, what he said. The fire department was there when he got there. He got there. Puffy was there. Nobody was there. But the fire department and the police department. That's his testimony. Capricorn Clark, we coming for you in a minute, baby. Now, look. I think that's some real bullcrap. But it is what it is. But let's get into Capricorn Clark. Now, who's Capricorn Clark? Capricorn Clark was a young lady who was working for Diddy. She was his assistant. She was his assistant. You know, he has several assistants. You know, you got that type of man like that. You know what I mean? You can't overwork certain people. You need to rotate people. You know, because Diddy, he had high demands. You know what I mean? He's always on the move. He's always flying. You know, and when you got that type of money, you don't want to do nothing. You just snap your fingers. Yo, I need you to write this down. Yo, I need you to make this call. Yo, I need you to go to the store and get this. Yo, I need you to make sure when I fly out and go to the next hotel and make sure to have food there. That's how I would move. If I had all that money, I'm not doing nothing. I'm gonna be real lazy and get fat. You know what I'm saying? Well, look, we're gonna get into Capricorn Card's testimony, and this is a direct examination from the prosecution with Capricorn Claw. See, so we're gonna rehearse with the prosecution team first. Capricorn Claw. Okay, prosecution team. Where did you grow up? Where did you grow up? She said, San Francisco, moved to LA. I worked, hold on, y'all. All right. He said, I work. Ooh, this leather hat me in my head. Hot. She said, I worked for Def Jam, then Death Row Records. Prosecution. What is your relationship to Suge Knight? She said, he is the father of my friend's child. Prosecution. You worked for Sean Combs? No, she said, then you worked for Sean Combs? She said, yes. He's over there in a blue sweater. I worked for him for 2011. From 2004 to 2012. No, let me see if I got it right here. Yeah, 2004 to 2012. That's very interesting. She went from Death Row to Bad Boy. Whew. And at one point in time, she said Diddy had took her. Yo, yeah, man, yeah, I'm gonna just let you read. I'm gonna let you hear it. Hold on. Prosecution, were you kidnapped? She said yes. Everybody was like, oh, we got him now. All you content creators came up here. I was like, yo, we got him. They got him. Ah. Oh, yeah? Okay. Okay, prosecution. When did you first meet Mr. Combs? She said, when I moved to New York City in 2002, we were super platonic friends. A headhunter said I should work for him as a personal assistant. I did until 2006. Okay. Which means she had to come back, right? Okay. Prosecution. What were your duties? She said, I shadowed him from the time he woke up. They asked, then what? She said, I was head of the Women's for Sean John. Prosecution. How long? A year. Then I became global director for Puffy, global director for Puffy. Name and likeness due to diligence to grow the brand. Then I was terminated until Cassie came. So here it is. I don't see a forced label so far because you see her, she's elevating. You see what I'm saying? She's elevating, she's getting her check is getting bigger, right? But she's required to do a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because now she's growing. Okay. Cassie, hold on. She said, okay, so check this out. When she left to work for Bad Boy, she alleged that Puff took her out and took her somewhere where like a beach or something. And he started screening her, wanted to know, yo, why you coming over here? Are you a plant? Because you got to understand. I understand what that part, because she came from working for Death Row. This is a company that Bad Boy had beef with, like real beef. This is a company where two big artists from both companies got murdered. This is real beef. This is not. So he's on his P's and Q's. You came from Death Row to work here? Like, why? You an infiltrator, you're a plant, you spying on me, and he like, when anything happen, I'm gonna kill you. This is what she said. He told her, right? Okay. Of course, they objection. Of course, the defense team objected because it's hearsay. So the judge said overrule. which means they could keep that on record. Okay. The prosecution team. How did you react to that? She said, I didn't have anything to do with that stuff. Objection. Sustained, which means now you gotta take that off the record, right? Prosecution team. Did you see Mr. Combs with a gun? She said, yes, my home. Prosecution team. Did he talk about it? She said, Puffy told Chris Lighty he had problems with 50 Cent. Prosecution team. Were you ever accused of stealing from Puffy? So she went on to talk about, she said yes, because there was it was a big show that was going on. They had several people there, you know what I mean? And there was some jury that Puffy had borrowed from Jacob the Jeweler to advertise. Because a lot of artists, that's what they do. They get these jury that they get from these jewelers, and they wear it so other rappers could come. Yo, where you get that from and buy it? It's like a walking advertisement. You know what I'm saying? And she said the jury was missing. Unknown to a lot of people around that time, Puff was wearing a lot of fake jewelry. It's said that Puff don't even wear real jewelry no more. All his real jewelry stashed. He wears nothing but fake jewelry for show. You know what I'm saying? Then he get rid of it. So some jewelry was missing, and she alleged that Sean Puffy Combs kidnapped her and other people and put them in put them in a hotel and started sending them up in Manhattan to do this lie detector test. Who I believe used to work for the FBI. She said, I ended up having to do that for 5 days. I didn't know it'd take that long for a lie detector test, but that's what she said, right? Okay. The prosecution team. Also there was a settlement between Puffy and Capricorn Clark. It's very it's disclosed. We don't know what it's for. It never came up in the trial. The prosecution team never brought it up like that, and the defense team never brought it up. But she had alleged that she was working. It was forced labor, and she was working, and she wasn't getting paid for her overtime, and she was owed over $80,000 in overtime payment. So I'm alleging probably that's what happened, and she got a settlement for it. So you got paid. You know what I'm saying? All right. So the government says, how many times you would say Puffy threatened you? She said 50 times. 50 times. I want you to keep that in your head. So if you see me, every time I see you, I'm gonna blow your head off. This is what I want you to always keep in mind. She claimed he blacklisted her too after she started working. When she said she got fired, she said that, she's not the regular job Joe. This is her field. This is what she like to do. And she was trying to get a job into the entertainment world after working with Puff, and nobody would hire her. And she felt without proof that Puffy did it because he's a very powerful man in the industry. Again, there's no proof of that. Maybe some people just didn't want to hire him. You know what I'm saying? But this is what she's alleging, right? Prosecution team. In 2016, did you go back to work for Diddy? She said, well, no one else would hire me because I had a new record deal. Because Cassie had a new record deal with Epic. Prosecution team. Who did you have to get approval from? She said, Puffy. Cassie was taking more drugs. Cassie was taking more drugs. She didn't say Diddy was giving it to enforcing her. She said Cassie was taking more drugs. They asked Kid Cudi another on his testimony. See, was you getting high with Cassie when y'all was together alone? He said yes. We were smoking weed. Well, that's what she bet. But anyway, that's what he said. We were smoking weed. But her other friend, Carrie Morgan, that she pretty much, I don't want to say grew up with, but yeah, you could say something like that because they knew each other since 15 and they stopped being friends after she got with Combs. And she said, yeah, after she left, while she was with Combs, we got high together. So what you got high with? She said, weed, alcohol, and opioids, which means heroin, dope. So she was gnawing out and scratching. You know how the dope fiends be without Puffy. So nobody was forcing her to take drugs. You see how the prosecution team is colliding? They damaging their own case. Okay. Prosecution. Was she still dating Puffy? She said yes. So you know the sex trafficking is like kind of fishy because everybody keeps saying these two is dating and they have a toxic relationship. That you don't have a toxic relationship in a sex traffic. You know what I'm saying? Prosecution team in 2023. Why did you retain an attorney? She said I was traumatized by Cassie's civil complaint. The same time Dawn and everybody else put their civil case in. So she's saying that she got an attorney and she want to sue Puffy because she's traumatized now. You waited after all this time to start putting in your case because you all of a sudden you traumatized because you saw what. But this is what she says. Now, the prosecution, the defense team gets at her. Prosecution, they restless. They like, all right, we got the kidnapping, we got the guns, we got all of this, right? That's what they're saying, right? Okay. Defense. You wanted to come back and work for Puff. She said, we discussed it. Okay. Defense, you said you think Cassie wasn't good for Puff. Why? She said they were toxic. Only could be in race. She didn't say she was being sexually exploited. She was a sex trafficker. She said they were this toxic, which means they are in a relationship. So far, I ain't hearing no sex trafficking, but we're going to keep going. Defense, when you were in NYC, New York City, she said, I was in the Bronx. I hated it. It's funny. Everybody hates the Bronx except those that really lived there. No, I would never move to the Bronx. I'm sorry. Oh, man. She said, I hated it. It was 2002. I met Jeanette. Then Mr. Combs in 2001 was the World Trade Center thing. Then I met Mr. Combs. Defense. He wasn't doing drugs, right? She said he did ecstasy in daddy's home. Yo, he's real good, man, because I never knew all these years he was getting high like that. That's a good cover up for a person that uses all those drugs. That's what you call a functional addict. That's a functional. No wonder he has so much energy because ecstasy gives you energy. That man was a workaholic on that thing. You college students, y'all know what I'm talking about. Defense. But it was worse, right? Him being drugs. It was worse, right? She said yes. No sex, no drug trafficking. He's a drug addict. Defense. You authorized to your lawyer, Brian Freeman, to seek a job for you? She said it wasn't very she said it was a very procedural lawyer to lawyer. Defense. But you were told you couldn't be given a job in the middle of an investigation. So she was just recently trying to come back to Puff. She said, oh, I don't remember. They said, you said Puff had a gun. What was he doing with the gun? Remember, she said that she was kidnapped, in her testimony with the prosecution that I didn't really cover too much. I should have covered that. She was saying that initially when she found out about when Diddy found out about Cass and Kid Cudi, that he pulled out the gun, he was raving, he was talking about, you ain't going nowhere, you coming with me, and he grabbed the security and they went to Kid Cudi's house, which was 15, 20 minutes away, right? So they said, you said Puffy had a gun. What was he doing with it? She said he had it in his hand. Defense. He was pointing it at you? She said no. But when you met with prosecutors, you said he was pointing it at your head. See, when you actually point the gun at somebody's head and say, come on, let's go, that's kidnapping. He wasn't pointing. He was just walking around raving it and, causing a scene. Right? So she said no. So he wasn't pointing the gun at you. Okay. He said, but when you met with the prosecutor, you said he was pointing it at your head. She said, or it waved it around. He said, defense, that's more correct, because that's what she told the prosecutors. You didn't tell him that he put the gun at your head. So he wasn't threatening you. So you lied. Another perjury. Man, there's so much perjuries in this case, man. All right. Okay, that's more correct. The defense, is Puffy a jealous guy? She said he has a bad temper that escalates. Defense, did you pass the security guard? Because they was leaving, they was going to Kid Cudi's. I want you to hear this. This is the kidnapping. She said, I saw him in his little hut. Defense, Mr. Combs was behind the driver with the gun on his lap. You made a call? She said, not then. So now she's letting us know as a kidnapped victim, she has a cell phone? Who gets kidnapped and keep a phone? All right. So they go to K. Huddy's house again, right? You go to K. Huddy's house. Again, there's no evidence that's showing that Diddy was actually there, but people that's having hearsay. Kid Cudi did not see Diddy. He has no evidence that Diddy was there. He speculates that it was Diddy because he said it was Diddy that called him. But then he had another testimony where he also said that it wasn't hard to tell it wasn't Diddy because we just had a discussion on the phone and heated conversation about him messing with Cassie. So 9 out of 10, he feel like it had to been Diddy, right? So the defense, did you look at Kid Cudi's door to see if they could get through it? She said, I wasn't paying attention. I was praying that Cudi wasn't there. The defense, did Cassie have 2 rooms? She said, because Cassie was living there too. Cassie was living 2 different lives. She was with Cudi and she was with Diddy. And even when the defense asked Cudi, you think Cassie played both of y'all? He said, yes. Listen, Cassie had 2 rooms. No, the defense, did Cassie have 2 rooms? She said Cudi took her to 1 room, then she had another. The defense, you 100% you called and told Puff, and you 100% that you called him and told Puff he had a gun? She said, yes, I said it very quickly. The defense, then you say that Laura London was on the phone with you and Cassie and Cudi? Because Cudi actually said he got the call from Cassie. He didn't get no call from her. This is what he said on the witness stand. But she's saying a kidnapped victim, instead of calling 911 and saying she was kidnapped, she was calling Cassie. You hear this thing? Look, man. No, you can't make that. I know the jury, and they said the jury throughout the whole town, the jury is like, this is what they're saying. The jury's like, because it's not adding up. You're a kidnapped victim, and then you got a cell phone. They didn't take your cell phone. Then when they get to the place, they leave you in the car with the keys and your cell phone. And when they go in the house, the first person you call was Cassie? Not 911? But listen, here we go. Didn't you say that Laura London was on the phone with you and Cassie and Cudi? She said, no, only part of it. Her voice, they said, was cracking now because she's getting caught up now. The defense, what? Hold on. What did you tell Laura London? She said, I'm scared of mountain lions. Hold on, we're going to read this again from a kidnapped victim with a cell phone that's being held against her will. Hold on. What did you tell Laura London? I'm scared of mountain lions. I'm sorry, y'all. Somebody trying to call me. Somebody trying to call me. Yeah, they messed up to have on the. Yeah, they messed up to have on the stand. They really messed that up. Look. Said, I'm scared of mountain lions. I don't know if you know the Hollywood Hills has coyotes. Oh my God. I'm sorry, y'all. That's one of my brothers, man. He's trying to call me, trying to get my motorcycle fixed, you know. But right now I got work. But she said they have coyotes. Maybe Lauren was on the phone. She said maybe. It was such a long time ago. Listen, if I'm kidnapped, I'm gonna remember that. I don't care about no long time ago. You're kidnapped. This is what you supposed to. This is what you said. But now you don't remember what's on the phone. But we heard Cassie testimony. Cassie ain't say none of that. She's saying. See what I'm saying? The prosecution, the witnesses are contradicting each other. Look, it gets better. Check it out. Defense. Are you aware that Lauren and Mr. Combs were friends after this? So if you're kidnapping, he's doing all of this. And the way we know how Lauren was moving with Nipsey Hussle, Lauren ain't getting herself caught up in this. As a matter of fact, as long as we knew who Lauren London was, we never heard no controversy of Lauren London. The only thing we ever heard about Lauren London is who she was dating. Let's keep it real, right? She has a squeaky clean image. She said, the defense, she said, okay, the defense. Are you aware that they were friends? Mr. Combs were friends, excuse me. Are you aware that Lauren and Mr. Combs were friends after this? Then you see the Porsche coming up the hill? She said yes. Because after that, she said she saw the Porsche coming up the hill. Listen to the testimony. We heard Kid Cudi say he was not home on the stand. He came back home and nobody was there. That was Kid Cudi's testimony. This is what she said. See, they asked her, then you saw the Porsche coming up the block? Up the hill? She said, yes. Cudi is in the black Porsche. He stops next to us. Then he speeds off and we chase him. What? Cudi ain't say that. Yo, they messed up having her up there, man, right? The defense. Then she said, Cudi lose us. We turn around and then we see the police pass us. Right? So now the police is driving past them. I guess they going there or they leaving, either or. But she said the police passed her, right? Meanwhile, this is the kidnap victim. The police passed her. The kidnap victim. The kidnap victim. The kidnap victim. Oh, man. Defense, you go pick up Cassie and go where? She said to Cudi's house. There was the ATD there. She said Cudi's house. There was the ATD there. The defense. Then you go to Mr. Combs' house and you said you saw Combs kicking Cassie. Yes, so I'm assuming that after everything was said and done, she took Cassie and went to Diddy's place, or she actually, wherever Cassie went, when she met up with them later on, they was fighting outside. This is what she's saying, right? Cassie ain't say that, but okay. Now, okay, hold on. I'm coming to you. There's certain things I ain't have enough time to write out, so I got to read some of the transcripts. All right. Now, again, she's on a direct cross-examination, and Diddy's defense team, they not letting up. They catching her in all right lies, right? So, hold on. I'm trying to get it because she's already busted in that lie, right? Cassie, Kid Cudi, and Lauren London told her that Lauren London, what you was supposed to tell the truth. Hold on. Okay, now the defense asks her after everything said was done, because she was like, she's scared, right? She quit everything. This was what she said, right? So they said, okay. So one day they asked her, Mr. Combs, they said, you wrote a letter to Mr. Combs in a text, and you said, Mr. Combs, one day you'll forgive me. Why are you asking your kidnap? I mean, why are you telling your kidnap victim to forgive you? What's going on? Something else is going on, right? Okay. All right. She said, yes. She said, you wrote on February 28, 2050 to Puffy, your grace period to be mad at me has surpassed the agreed time. Laugh out loud. You wrote that? She said, yes, sir. What do you mean? What do you mean it's his grace period? So this has been happening constantly. I've been having some sort of relationship to the point where he's mad at you and you be like, all right, come back. But after all of this kidnapping, you talking about you hope he forgive you. And the grace period is longer. So you're supposed to be rehired, right? Okay. So that lets me know it's not, if she didn't quit, she got fired. Okay. So if you wrote a letter to Puff asking for his forgiveness, why would you be asking for his forgiveness if he's done all these things to you? He hands a piece of paper, the defense hands a piece of paper, right? They're good at that, hand a piece of paper stuff. It said, read that out loud. Hey, what you barking for? Yeah, oh, that's my bully. Y'all know how it is. All right, so he said, he said, I handed a piece of paper, said, please read that out loud. And when you're finished, look up at me when you're done. Yo, I think favorite sign. That's how you know they about to line you up, right? So she said, read it out. She read it out loud. She said, she was never my friend. She wanted me gone, and I realized, hold on. Yeah, she read it out loud. She was never my friend. She wanted me gone. I realized. The defense. Did you mean Cassie wanted you gone? She said, she started breaking down now. She said, yes, right? So, Capricorn card, she felt, okay, she felt like she was Puff protected, she said. I felt I was the only one gone and she was still lit. So now she's jealous of Cassie. Like, everybody's gone. Why you still there? You sound like you sleeping with Diddy. You forgive me. Your grace period should be gone now. You should be, she'll call me back up. And then when she do pop up, she's mad because Cassie's there still. Why is still here? So letting us know that something else is going on behind the scenes, right? The defense. Did it hurt that he would only, Puffy would only take you back because Cassie wanted you back? She said, yes. I have no parents. My son is autistic. My stakes are higher, sir. The judge asked. The judge asked a question and the defense said, can I speak to the government for a second? And the judge says, sidebar. So a few minutes, they come back. So the defense is like, you did a lot of great work today, be patient. We're gonna get you out of here, right? I said, okay, so that day you did a great work, or that time you did a great work with Cassie in 2016 and 2017, right? She says, I believe so. Cassie had an addiction problem. She said, yes. When you met with me, you wanted to work. When you met with me, you wanted to work for him, right? She said, yes. We discussed it. It was nothing further else to really talk about. Now, he says, You had Miss Vistera Spin, who was there. Let me show. Hold on. Let me show you what you said. So now they're gonna give her. Oh man, I gotta turn this back on. So now they're gonna get some more paperwork so she can read it because she's contradicting herself, right? Let me show you what you said to LaRon Gibson. Was there Capricorn Clark? She said, oh, they misheard. Something like that. Hold on. Okay, matter of fact, you know what? Because I already read most of this, so I'm gonna just freestyle it because I'm gonna show you where she get caught up at, right? I'm gonna show you what she get caught up. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you where she busted Cassie up at. So, she said, "Was you jealous of Cassie?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "Yeah." She was jealous of Cassie. She said, "What made you jealous of Cassie? How did things change?" When Cassie came in, she met Cassie. Cassie was humble. She wasn't doing drugs. She was in the studio. They asked her, "Do she has talent?" She said, "She has talent, but she's not talented. She's no Mariah Carey. She's no Whitney Houston. She's a one-hit wonder, pretty much, which Capricorn Clark was saying." She said, "So what changed all of a sudden with Cassie?" She said, in 2008, she got more bravado being Puffy's girlfriend, not sex trafficker, girlfriend. This is the prosecution witness. The prosecution witness. She said she got more bravado being Puffy's girlfriend. The longer it lasted, she thought I was being paid to help her. The government objected. Objection, objection. So the judge said, sustained. Nah, we're gonna keep this going on, right? So Puffy's defense team said, what did you see in Capricorn Clark? She went from being a sweet model to being a feisty girlfriend. Did you think she was talented? Like I said, she said, yeah, she had talent, but she wasn't talented. She was not. I have good taste and talent. To me, is Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. Cassie was none of a studio musician. She needed things equalized to make things work. In other words, you know how a lot of these artists now, they got the sound effects where it changes their voice. Example, when Sean came out, Sean really sounded like Biggie, like really. He caught so much flack behind that they had to tweak the engines to make him sound different. And I think, actually, to be honest, the way Sean sounded was the way he sounded when he started making that song with Barrington Levy. I think Puff was trying to do some underhand stuff, and he tried to tweak it to make him sound like Biggie. You know what I'm saying? And he caught flack behind that. Yeah. Here for now, like auto-tune. Like, listen to Cassie's song right now. You're going to hear the auto-tune in it. She can't sing. She can't. Right? So, she said, did she perform live? She said a couple of times, not the greatest. Was she hard worker? She said at times. When we wasn't, she, hold on. He said, when wasn't she a hard worker? She preferred to be with her boyfriend, Puff, when we moved to LA after Kim had the twins in 2009. I saw her developing more of her relationship with Puff. The defense. Puffy supported her? Capricorn Clark. Yes, with stylists and other musicians, the components to make her a star. See, this is what I was going back in my last show, and I was saying that when Cassie got on, before she even had a big hit, she did songs with Jay-Z, Beyonce, Rick Ross, French Montana. She was making songs with powerhouses, and she didn't even have a record out yet. So for her to say, oh, he was hindering my career, no, he wasn't. You had You had songs with mega songs. You just ain't it, mama. That's all. You just ain't got it. You just got to face it. So, and she knew that. That's why the sister said she invested more into being Puffy's girlfriend. Because, you know, once this is gone, at least I got my man. At least I got my man. Here from the knowledge said she messed up the case, y'all. She messed up the whole case. She just cleared Diddy. She just cleared Diddy, the prosecution witness. But it's a good thing for Diddy defense, y'all. It's a good thing for Diddy defense. So the defense said, did she get more help than others? She said, yes, Young Jock and the groups from Atlanta. I developed French Montana. So here it is. So here's Capricorn really killing it. She's destroying the whole case by saying, yo, you heard her? She's the developer. She's like the A&R. So she's developing Cassie. She's letting us know, yo, she's in there with stars, huge stars, and she is developing her. And Puff is orchestrating it to make her a star. So where's the fact with her, Puff was hindering her career or damaging her career? Where that's at? Where that's at? Okay, we're gonna get to it. And this also kills the fact that she was a sex slave. She was sex trafficking. You was in the studio making songs with Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? Messed up the case, baby. Messed up the case. She said, he gave her, he said, using Cassie, all right. He said he gave, so the defense team gave her the paper. I want you to read that. And when you finish, I want you to look up at me. Yo, I love that saying because when they do that, you know they about to smoke something. Look, the dude, he said, do you remember saying you had the biggest crush on Puff? This is Capricorn Clark, the one that's held hostage, the one that was kidnapped, the one who had the gun waving to all around or said Puffy had the gun. This is her. Didn't you say you had a crush on Diddy? That showing her a paper with her texts. This is why I be telling y'all with these texts. Don't be talking about, oh, iPhone and all of this, and they can't get y'all. Let me tell you, the government get what the hell they want. All that iPhone and you thinking you deleting messages on your Galaxy and your Instagram. But listen, it's a trail. You ain't gonna know what's gonna happen 15 years later. So she just buried herself. Look, do you remember saying you had a crush on Puffy? On Puff? The assistant U.S. attorney. Objection. He blew it up. He blew it up with the text. Right? Check this out. The judge, he just said, Judge, I just want to show you her state of mind. You know what I'm saying? He said the prosecution is being offered the truth. The government said sidebar. Then they come back and Diddy lawyer called him. Hold on. All right, Diddy lawyer said you called him Chalk for chocolate. So now she's calling her boss Chocolate in Texas. She has a crush on him, but yet she's kidnapped. She's held gunpoint, but yet this is after she has a crush on him, and she calls him Chocolate in private. She said, "I did." So it seems as though Capricorn Club, hold on. Yeah, it seems that Capricorn Club really is messing up this case right now, right? She wrote that she had a crush on Puff, which is why she was jealous of Cassie. Let's keep it real. This is why she was jealous. She said it. I was upset that everybody was gone, but she was still here. She was still here. She was jealous, which means 9 out of 10, they were smashing. They was throughout the case. I'm starting to get a lot more females, and it seems like Puffy's smashing all of them. You smash. You had to be. Why you feel a type of way? Why you calling your boss chocolate? Why? Do you call your boss chocolate? So at this point, Capricorn purged herself. You know, she committed perjury because she already lied. She lied at least 2 times. She lied about the gun being put to her head because she told the prosecutor something else, right? She lied about the scene going to Kid Cudi's house with Kid, and she saw the porch flying there with Kid Cudi when the porch was burnt up. The porch was burnt up. The black porch was burnt up. So how the hell he was flying past you? When Kid Cudi testified that he was at another location and he picked up the phone and it was Puff telling him he was at his house. And then when you got there, nobody was there. But now Capricorn caught talking about he was flying past me. All right. She purged herself about 3 times, right? Which leaves a lot of groundwork for, like I said, for an appeal. Because even if they find him guilty, he got an appeal 1, 2, 3 because there's so many perjuries. And now when you win an appeal for perjury, guess what? All those testimonies are gone. All of those is gone. You have to remove all testimony, which means you ain't got no witnesses for a case if he wins an appeal. If he gets life, you might as well say life because at his age, come on, man. So all right, so now cancel that out. Now we're gonna talk about this female named Mia. I don't have all the transcripts right now. I'm in the process of getting it. I got some of it. Actually, I got it all, but I'm trying to do something else. I tell y'all about that tomorrow, right? But it's been a little lengthy show, so I'm gonna try to cut it a little short, and I'm gonna continue tomorrow. So we're gonna get into Mia. Who is Mia? Mia is another assistant. She's going by an AKA. You heard about that. They say a lot of witnesses are afraid for their life, or whatever the case may be. So they are granted this AKA name for the public. Okay, but if Puffy know who she is, I'm assuming he knows. Okay, because she's testifying against him for the prosecution team. But the defense decides to give me a second. Okay, the defense decides to cross-examine her. And Mia, man, she says so much that because we're gonna be shifting back and forth to the prosecution's cross-examination. Direct examination. So this is the direct cross-examination with the defense team. So the defense said, Mia, you worked for Puff from 2009 to 2017. That's a long time. Keep that in your head. From 2009 to 2017. It's over 8 years. And during that time, you developed PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Mia, isn't it true? You testified that one time Puffy called you and you threw the phone and you ran out of the house? Mia, you testified under oath on the stand that you were sleeping in a room, right, without the door locked. Listen to this. And Puffy came in and violated you with his hands. Right? He did that. He did one of those. I can't say too much. I don't want to get struck. Without your consent. Mia, you testified. That's why I say we're going to be going back and forth to the prosecution and this. So this is all what she testified already. testified that she's working for Puff. She was in a room somewhere, and Puff, while she was sleeping, he came in, and then he started doing other things to her, whatever the case may be. This is her testimony, right? This is what we all running with the Puffy drugging people when they fall into sleep stuff. This is where we getting all this garbage from, right? So he said, Mia, you testified that if somebody calls your name for no reason, you panic. You panic You panic because of what you went through with Mr. Combs. Mia, you testified that Puff was the worst thing that ever happened to you. And you thought about taking your own life as a result of working with Mr. Combs. This is her testimony that she had testified when she was being cross-examined by the prosecution team, right? So Mia, I want to direct your attention to your Instagram page. See what I'm telling you about these Instagram pages and these pictures? Or y'all with those 3,000, 5,000 pictures, you done forgot what you posted. Like Mia. If it is, I want to direct your attention to the Instagram page, to your social media. You were hired in 2009 to handle Puff's social media, Bad Boy social media, and Puffy's personal media. 4 years later, you still was working for Puff. You've been assaulted. You've been abused. Yet you hang around and you handle Puffy's social media? I'm going to put this picture up. So they put the Instagram picture up in the course for everybody to see, right? Okay. Mia, this is your social media page. Your hand on top of Cassie's hand, or Cassie's hand on top of your hand. Actually, it's Cassie's hand on top of her hand. Excuse me. It says, I'm with my BF, CC, in Cabo. I ain't never even been there. I ain't never heard of Cabo till I got started. You know what I'm saying? So she has a social media page where she took a picture, her and Cassie's in Cabo, and Cassie's hand is on top of hers, right? This is Cassie's best friend. This is Cassie's best friend. Best friend. Puffy paid for the trip. 4 years. Supposedly you've been physically abused, other types of abuse. So she's been sexually abused. She's been drugged, she claimed. And yet, at this time, she got PTSD, but yet she still is working for Puffy. This is what she says. The defense, what does CC stand for? Mia, I don't know. The defense, does it stand for Cassie Combs? Mia says, oh, it may stand for that. Cassie Combs? I'm thinking about sex trafficking. You sex traffic your wife? Why would she put Combs and then she's not even married to him? She has a real obsession with Puffy, man. She does know. I think she really do love Puffy. I mean, because they asked on the stand, do you still love Puff? And they said she paused. And she said, I love my past. Everything that you heard that happened to Cassie, she said, I love my past. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. So they put up another picture, an Instagram picture, right? These lawyers is mean. They going through everything. You ain't hiding nothing, not a text, not a picture, nothing. They digging up everything. This man got 10 lawyers. 10 lawyers. One of his lawyers, I'm getting to it. One of his lawyers, she's a specialist in jury selection. Damn. That's why it's 8 men on the jury. 8 men and only 4 women. You're gonna get a mistrial one way or another. Because the man is not even listen. And I was hearing that we'll get into that. The defense, Mia, is this your social media page? She says yes. The defense, did you put this picture up on your page? She said yes. This is the picture that's everybody seen in the courthouse. Did you put this pic up on your page? She said yes. Did anyone force you to put this picture up? She said no. They asked her, who wrote the caption? She said, me. The defense, did anybody force you to? She said no. The defense, Mia, this picture was dated October 2nd, 2013. 4 years after you supposedly was assaulted by Mr. Combs sexually and you was drugged up and he took it without your consent, which is the big R, right? This has happened 4 years before, right? And this picture is 4 years later. And you wrote in the caption, Puffy is getting me coffee. And in the picture, it shows Puffy in a coffee shop getting her coffee. The defense, Mia, 4 years after you have PTSD as a result of Puff drugging you, drugs in your drink, stuck his hand up under your dress while you was asleep, you woke up and now you claim he was inside you, assaulted you, was inside you without your consent, but you're posting a picture of him on your social media page. Said, let me get another pic. Another pic goes up. October 17, 2023. Who's in the pic? Mia said, it's Carrie Morgan, Puffy, Cassie, and me. It's a picture of when we went at the Burning Man. I don't know what that is, the Burning. It must have been a concert or something like that, or a show, right? The defense. The caption reads, take me back to Burning Man. And Mia, you're standing next to Puff in this picture at Burning Man. But you testified under oath. Excuse me, you testified under direct examination that Puff forced you to take drugs at Birmingham. Because there was a testimony which she said allegedly, well, not allegedly, she actually said in a direct examination with the prosecutor that Puffy drugged that at Birmingham. But the caption reads, take me back. He forced you to take drugs at Birmingham, yet on the caption of your page, did you write that? She said yes. The defense said, is that you and Puff? You standing next to Puff, saying in the caption, take me back to Birmingham with Puff and Cassie? She said yes. Ooh. Yo, I gotta drink some water, man. This is good. And during this direct cross-examination, people were saying that most of the females, this is how I heard it, the females that don't like Puffy because of all the domestic violence, they were saying that they felt that the jury was pro-Puffy because they was laughing. They was laughing and they were chuckling and they were just shaking their head, and they felt that they was on Diddy's side. But look what we're reading here. That's why they laughing. They like, you idiot, you just got caught in so many lies. Like, what are you up here making up these lies for, right? Now, Mia says yes. Now, that's going to be the continuation. To be continued. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about that. But real quick, as you can see, everybody on that stand that took the stand against Puffy got destroyed. They got demolished. Everyone that took the stand perjured themselves. Cassie perjured herself. Capricorn Clark perjured herself 3 times. Mia perjured herself. Well, no, Mia didn't perjure her. Mia just didn't even sound right. It was just confusing. Well, she didn't perjure herself, but you could tell she was lying, right? Then you had Dawn Rashad from Danity Kane. She got caught in 13 lies. So add how much perjury that is up to in this case so far. About 20, right? That's a hell of that's a lot of ground for an appeal, man. Woo-wee. I just don't see him. Like I said, I don't advocate domestic violence. I'm definitely, with the women on that when it comes to Puff and domestic violence. You know what I'm saying? I don't condone that. But at the same time, and I'm gonna have to say that because I don't want people to think that I'm pro Diddy because I do the video and I'm showing you they getting smashed out. But it's not me answering the questions, it's them. They just don't want getting caught up in their lies. But a lot of you content creators out there, y'all not talking about this. Y'all only talking about the prosecution team. You're not talking about he's going down and he's this and that. How? After everything I done said so far up to date, I can't see him being convicted. If we are going to be convicted, it was just a setup. It's no way in the world. But like I said, maybe they just want to pump his brakes because he was getting too big for his bridges. You know what I'm saying? He was getting too big with the alcohol thing. He rubbed people the wrong way. He started talking about politics and all that. That's one thing the government don't like. They don't like black people talking about politics. They don't like that. They want you to just follow and vote. That's it. Too powerful. They don't want you involved in that. You're getting too smart. So now they just gonna destroy his character. You got a bunch of nothings that's up there. I'm not saying them personally is nothings. I'm talking about their testimony. You got a bunch of nothings that's up there that's testifying, and they're getting destroyed from left to right. They're destroyed left to right. This man, when it comes to these charges that I see, this man is innocent, and I believe wholeheartedly. Wait till you get the rest of me. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yo, I think and I believe, and they say money is the root of all evil. Puffy is always horny. If you never tried E.O. Molly's, you wouldn't understand. Last year, that's why a lot of y'all up there talking a lot of crap too. Like he freaky, he all that. Yo, when you on that thing, and I'm sure with his money, he can get some powerful E-pills. That thing will have you talking for 8 hours straight. And you a chain smoke if you smoke cigarettes. And then you will smoke weed, and then you'll get real laid back because the Mollies and the E's give you an up tempo, give you a lot of energy. So when you smoke weed, you get mad, down, and lazy, and then within like 20 minutes, the E's and the Molly will supersede the weed, and you be moving around again like yo. And you're constantly horny, especially if you're thinking about it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that if you take it, you automatically get horny. No, it works on your mood. If you're at a party, which is a rave, which I've been into, people take it and they just be dancing. And this is how I knew I was the ravers. They stay taking it. Because one day I went to the bar and people was buying nothing but water. I was over there buying liquor. I was practically the only one in there with a cup of liquor, but they was all eat up. You have to drink a lot of water when you're on it. So imagine Diddy in his life with all this money and he's having all these freak offs. He's constantly horny. So everybody he hired, he's like, yeah, I'm ready to take that down. And he's having sex with these females. He's having sex with these females. Man, wait till you get, man, look. Yo, man, wait till I get the rest of this stuff, man. This thing here is, it's gonna blow your mind when I get the rest of her testimony out to you. And like I said, I think the government is just setting them up. I think they want to shut him down. Not take his money. He made his money, but they just want to shut him down and just tarnish his reputation. Because that's what they do to all black leaders. And I'm not saying Puffy is a leader. He's definitely inspirational. Everybody that testifies say, yo, he has such an energy around him that he make you want to work hard without even asking. Because he just had that energy. You know what I'm saying? So when you a black man and you that powerful and you step out of that circle, they're coming after you. They did that with Malcolm X. They did that with King. They did that with all black leaders. And I'm not comparing them to Puffy. What I'm trying to compare is the first attack that they do is they use the propaganda. They use the media and they pull out all your dirty laundry. They had a brother that was responsible for killing Fred Hampton in Chicago. He was working with the FBI, the COINTELPRO. Just because you don't hear the COINTELPRO, that doesn't mean they're not here. All them tactics that they use, is the COINTELPRO tactics. They just removed the name. But the technology and the crap is still there. You know what I'm saying? So what they always wanted to do, this black man, he said, they always do is that they watch all the black leaders and they put black people that works for them in there. And that's sad, man. I mean, how could you actually sit there as a government agent and being planted to take your people down and you actually doing it? But he said that they build you up and they watch you and they let you get but so far. And when they ready to come after you, they tear you down. He said, what are the tactics they use? He said, they use your weakness. They use your weakness. And they knew Puffy weakness. Come on, he been doing this for years. They know Puffy weakness is sex. They know Puffy money is drugs. That's his vices. That's his weakness. And they used it against him. Now you got a whole sex trafficking case with Ricos and all. Come on, that don't even add up. I ain't hear a truck of women yet being shipped somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I ain't hear no truck of women being shipped nowhere yet. But hey, this is what they got. So I'm gonna tell you what. Tomorrow, tune in. We're gonna get into depth more about this thing. God bless y'all and thank you for listening. Later.